All right. I think we're ready to go. Is everybody good? All right, we are going to call the Tuesday, August 20th meeting to order. We're going to start with a moment of silent reflection for our first responders and members of the armed forces. That'll be followed by an invocation by the Reverend Dr. Joseph LaGuardia from the First Baptist Church of Vero Beach, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Ehrman. If everybody will please rise.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this time and the humble privilege of being able to steward and to be servants of our county and community. We are mindful that it is a great task, but a collaborative one, a mighty task, but one that requires discernment. Today especially, Lord, we are mindful that it is election day in our county. We pray for safety. We pray for a good, robust election season. We're reminded, Lord, that students are in school for their second full week, and so we ask protection on all of our schools, our teachers and students, our administrators, and our support staff. We're reminded, Lord, of the excitement that comes with this season. We're grateful, Lord, for the Fighting Indians who won last Friday, and we're also grateful for the many ways, Lord, that you've shown up in places where we least expect it. Lord, as right now teachers and students are going through their school day, Lord, be present, protect them, protect our first responders and all who work so passionately to keep us safe. With gratitude and humility, we simply thank you. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in honoring the greatest nation in the world, the United States of America, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Excuse me. All right, commissioners, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to delete item 13D and 13E and revisit that in the latter part of October.
Okay. Any other additions or deletions?
Madam Chairman, the only caveat that I would have as far as 13D would be that the agenda item was not drafted by my office, and it was not the first time in 21 years. It was a agenda item that was drafted by another department and put under the county attorney's matters. But that's all that I have to say.
Thank you. I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Counselor, that was underneath your matters.
That's correct. It was not placed there by my office.
And you didn't author it.
No, sir.
That's the first time I've heard that in 18 years myself. And I'm quite surprised. Did you try to take it off the agenda before it got to print?
I never saw it.
All right, well, it is being removed, and we will revisit it at another time. There's a motion by that in a second. Are there any other additions or deletions? All right, seeing none, I guess there is a motion, so we'll go ahead. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. With that, we will move on to proclamations and presentations. The first proclamation is a presentation of proclamation honoring William K. DeBrawl for 21 years of distinguished service to the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners. I see Bill making his way down, and all the family is here. Come on up. You know, I just have to say, for those of you that might not know, it is a special privilege for me to read this proclamation because when I was at Florida State in law school, Mr. DeBrawl was actually my boss. I got to work for him at the Department of Agriculture and babysat his kids while I was in college. I won't tell any stories. They were very good, and had the pleasure of working with his wife in the Phi Mu sorority. So it is really, really a pleasure to read this. And I'm not going to, please don't tell any stories about, when you were supervising my exceptional work. We'll say that.
It absolutely was. It absolutely was.
All right, we have a proclamation honoring William K. DeBrawl for 21 years of distinguished service to the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners. Whereas William K. DeBrawl is retiring from the Indian River County Attorney's Office effective August 30th, 2024. And whereas William K. DeBrawl started his career with the Indian River County Attorney's Office on July 7th, 2003 as Assistant County Attorney. He worked diligently and was promoted to Deputy County Attorney, then County Attorney, providing exceptional service to the citizens of Indian River County for more than 21 years. And whereas Mr. DeBrawl's career is defined by his honesty, integrity, mentorship, and record of advocacy that will be felt for long after he retires from Indian River County. And whereas as county attorney, Mr. DeBrawl worked on high-impact, long-lasting projects which have benefited the citizens of Indian River County, such as the widening and development of the 66th Avenue Hurricane Evacuation Corridor, the overseeing of local legal land development issues, including residential subdivisions, work on Spoonbill Marsh, as well as serving as a fair housing administrator to those in need of assistance and defense from unfair treatment. Whereas Mr. DeBrawl worked diligently on county commission while going above and beyond and providing customer service and compassion to citizens in need. And whereas, as county attorney, Mr. DeBrawl elevated the organization by building a strong, positive workplace culture of camaraderie and kindness through his leadership and mentorship to the county attorney office team and interns over the years. And whereas Mr. DeBrawl has served, guided, and seamlessly led the county through some of its most trying challenges, but has met and bested those challenges by remaining true to his faith, ethics, and inner moral compass. And whereas Mr. DeBrawl's complete commitment to his duties as county attorney have brought great credit upon himself and staff and contributed greatly to the continued positive image of Indian River County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the board lauds the many contributions William K. DeBrawl has made to Indian River County during his lengthy tenure and wishes him the greatest success in all of his future endeavors. Adopted this 20th day of August, 2024, and signed by all 5 county commissioners. Bill, congratulations. Thank you for everything that you've done for Indian River County. Thank you for just being a wonderful friend, a wonderful supervisor, and a wonderful part of the fabric that is Indian River County. I certainly hope that you have fabulous plans somewhere fun and cool for your future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chairman. A few people that I want to thank. First of all, Will Collins, who gave me a chance 21 years ago as far as giving me a job here. Some of the other people that I've worked with and have mentored me and been a confidant to me is Bill Caldwell, and Shelley and his daughter are here. I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything about staff that are here and supporting me and appreciating me. Bruce, truly appreciate working with you. Some of the other folks that I've worked with, as far as like Jill Williams, who is worth her weight in gold as far as anything. Carrie Cundiff has made a career out of this. My family support. But the biggest thank you that I must extend to is my wife, Chris. She has been my rock through the last 30-something years, where we came up with this crazy idea of me going to law school after being a county forester. I think it's kind of interesting that I worn the title of county forester, county attorney. I don't know if that it would be duplicated throughout the state, but I give her the most credit for supporting me throughout all these years. And yes, we do have a plan. We have a plan that we are going to implement, and we are going to enjoy it. My many thanks to the board for supporting me for all these years and having confidence in me. I just can't thank you enough. It's a great honor, a great privilege to represent the county, and again, many thanks.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bill, wish you well through all of the things that you've been through, dealing with 5 different politicians a bunch of different times and having to cater with them. But I do know that I met Bill years ago in the church, and a man of faith is an understatement, and Bill's faith and his family's faith will carry him well into retirement. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilor William DeBraw. I'm gonna miss you. It's been a long journey. I'm gonna miss the times that we are able to just sit down and speak, share. You guided, you gave the technical knowledge and then the personal knowledge in order to make us better at what we do. You gave us the facts. And the best part was that council came without billable hours. And then, who gets a chance to talk with an attorney? You identified Bruce. It could be costly. But I want to say thank you for what a journey that is getting closer towards the end, not your career. 66th Avenue. You were so involved from, I think we started that in 2007, about looking at the property values, the right-of-way issues. You rode 66th Avenue more times than any other vehicle. You chatted, you handled, and I think that your background with forestry came into play far more deeper than you would care to admit, because you were out there. Counselor, thank you for your dedication, your foresight. Yeah, it was a costly journey, 66th Avenue, but you minimalized it many times. And I want to say thank you for all of the guidance. One might recall when there was a slot position open here, I believe you should have been a general counsel at the time. Dylan never let me forget that because I was so emphatic about it. But I'm glad you had the opportunity to be our general counsel, because I think I was right back then, and you were right to take the position, even though it was a short journey, even though you're going on to a larger journey with your family. I just want to say thank you. You will be missed.
Thank you, Commissioner. Those are very kind words.
Chairman?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Bill, who would ever thought? I remember Bill when he was here, when he was the county forester. And we would, I first met him on.
We only had 6
on
trees
brush
then.
fires. We would have brush fires. We had more woods back then, so we had a lot of them, and Bill was always there with us, fighting the woods fires and the brush fires and stuff like that. And then I didn't see him anymore. I'm like, where did Bill go? And Tim Elder was here, and Tim said, well, Bill's going to bigger and better things, and he ends up being the assistant county attorney. I'm like, wow, okay. But who would ever thought that we would work then and we would work together? We would work together now. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And the fact that you're a Green Bay Packers fan made it even a plus. So, hey, we instituted the O'Brien rule on buying right-of-ways and all that sort of stuff, which was pretty cool. But it's just been a pleasure to come down there and sit with you and talk with you at times about stuff. And and just, being a part of my life and your life all the way back when you were with Department of Forestry here, and then get to know you even further. But you've done a great job for the county. You definitely are the land and the right-of-way master. There's no doubt about that. And I think we missed that. We missed that touch that you had with that. But everything that you did and the good advice and the friendship that you provided, it's been great. So we're going to miss you, but I know you're going to enjoy where you're going, and it's going to be nice up there. So all the best to you and your family, and we'll miss you. But great job, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moss?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Forester Days sound like they were so much fun. I'm really sorry I missed those. Oh, gosh. And we have not worked together as long as some of the others. But I wish you and your family a very happy retirement. And I hope it's just as much fun as the Forester Days and more.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly.
I just wanted to, we have the whole family here, or there's somebody missing?
There's one missing. She's in Pittsburgh. It's her second day of orientation for law school, so.
And I wanted to point it out to say congratulations.
Super proud of her for that.
I'm sorry.
Anybody from the public? Family? Friends? No? All right. Well, Bill, you will be missed, but I know you're going to be doing something fun, and we're all going to be jealous of that, I'm quite sure. And Chris, good luck now that you're going to have him full-time. We'll be praying for you. All right.
Very much.
Wherever you want. It's your day, so.
You want to be up here, been up here a lot. Congratulations. Yeah.
All right, now the bad news is, Bill, you still have to finish out this meeting.
Back to work.
But we'll try to make it quick and efficient for you. All right, our next proclamation is going to be honoring Blake Allen Bartholomew on his retirement from Indian River County Department of Emergency Services Fire Rescue Division. This will be read by Commissioner Ehrman.
Come on down.
I mean, you guys came all the way here, don't be shy.
Like you needed all these bosses.
It's good to see everybody.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My first remark is Chief Johnson, I'm glad he got the memo this time, was able to make it. I think there were more people here last time, but you weren't here.
I'm sure there was.
Well, Blake, it's going to be my honor to read this proclamation, then we're all going to talk about you.
I'm sure.
All right. This is a proclamation honoring Blake Allen Bartholomew on his retirement from Indian River County Department of Emergency Services Fire Rescue Division. Whereas Engineer Blake Bartholomew began his career with Indian River County Fire Rescue on July 4th, 1989, when he was hired by the Emergency Medical Services Department as a paramedic. And whereas on October 19th, 2007, due to the consolidation of EMS and fire departments, Blake earned his state firefighting certification, resulting in his promotion November 2nd, 2007 to fire medic. And whereas on May 29th, 2015, He was promoted to engineer and found his calling specializing in aircraft rescue and firefighting, also known as ARF, becoming one of the few designated engineers for the airport crash truck, in which position he continued until his retirement on July 30th, 2024. And whereas Blake was chosen by his peers and leadership to be honored with the Engineer of the Year Award for 2003-2004, and whereas throughout his 35-year career, Blake was praised by Fire Rescue Command, his fellow crew members, and the community for his advanced knowledge of emergency medicine during incidents and while teaching college students, mentoring new hires, and whereas Blake's decade of volunteering as the coordinator and vice president of the Indian River County Big Heart Brigade garnered even more praise for providing thousands of Thanksgiving turkey dinners to residents in need. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the board is grateful to Blake Bartholomew for his 35 years of unwavering service, commitment, and dedication to his profession, his peers, and the citizens of Indian River County. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners and staff extend heartfelt wishes for success in his future endeavors, adopted this 20th day of August, 2024, and signed by Madam Chairman, Commissioner Adams. Blake, you made it. We all made it. We all seem to make it. It's been a great career. And in all seriousness, I've known you when you started for a long time. We worked together for many years. And one thing Blake was always able to do was he was able to always willing to train new people, especially in the art of paramedicine, because Blake was one of the best out there, I can tell you that. And he was always willing to do that and train. He was always willing to help out and do whatever needed to be done around the stations, any equipment or anything else. Just a team player and a great guy to be around. Kind of mild-mannered sometimes, but sneaky at others. But he was just always positive in his attitude, and everything was good. I can't say a bad thing about him. He was on a different shift, but we worked a lot together and got to know each other very well. And Blake, you're just one of the outstanding folks that have crossed the path of emergency services, and I thank you for it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
First of all, I just want to thank commissioners for opportunity to be able to work here for so many years. I did start as a paramedic and then went to fire school. I feel like it's been a heck of a career. You see a lot of things that other people don't see, and I feel like the support of your family is most important during those times. This is my wife, my daughter. And I'd like to thank the staff of Indian River County Fire Rescue for their support. You can't make it through this career unless you can laugh. So if you can't laugh and have fun, you're not going to make it 35 years, I can tell you that. So my coworkers, just keep pressing on. It's a great place to work. It's what you make it. I feel like we've made strides, and you just got to keep moving forward. And that's about it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Chief, did you want to add anything?
Yes.
Put you on the spot there.
I've known Blake since high school.
This is where the real stories come out. I love it.
We joined the volunteer ambulance squad together. We had a lot of fun and activities during our tenure. We separated when he went to the Air Force and I went to the fire service after school, but we joined back together in '89 when he joined up to the county. It's just been a pleasure to work with him. He's always a pleasure to work with at the station. You never know what he's going to say next. He's always there for training people. He's always there for doing the right thing. He's always there for showing the department in a better light than what others do. So we're going to miss him. We're losing a legacy. We're losing institutional knowledge. We're losing a great man. I just can't say that enough. He's my friend. He's and I hope his retirement is as fun as he had on this department. So yes, I've known him a few days, so he is a good man, and he'll be missed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Save that. You'll save that for a non-public meeting? Gotcha. We do appreciate that.
My children watching the show.
But thank you for your commitment to Indian River County and your time spent here. I know we are a better county because of it. And, just, it's great to have such wonderful people working with us and for us, and you're a testament to that. So please enjoy your retirement. You've definitely earned it. And I hope it is full of fun and festivities and all the fabulous things that apparently make you you. I've not heard some of the stories, but now I have some questions to ask later on. But nonetheless,
What would ask us privately.
enjoy. You've earned it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have fun, yeah.
I can have them back.
You can, right? If it gets to be too much, let
Come
us
around
know.
again. Didn't I see you a little while ago? That was very nice. You're not the.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Fred, that way.
Hey, good to see
Harry, you and your daughter, I'll come here.
Hey, good to see
What's
you.
going on?
Good morning, good morning.
Billy.
Hey, how are you? Good
Tell
to see
me,
you.
what's
Good being here.
Right. Didn't know you had to run the gauntlet how many times here, right?
How are you? Hi.
Yeah.
Hey. All right, how are we gonna line this one up? Are you gonna tell them what to do? Are they gonna listen to you? No? No?
I know.
All right,
Turn around.
all right.
Doing it.
Turn
You stay in
around
too.
and
I think we can get
maybe,
everybody in here.
is that good or some need to shift?
There you go.
Okay,
And the
perfect.
shorter
Oh, the
guys.
short and the, well, hold on. I'm short, so I gotta get in the, no, you're good. I'm used to like
Get
moving
Madam Chair a
over.
platform or
I need a
something.
little stool. Congratulations. Enjoy.
An email.
Glad you're here today.
It ain't over.
Okay. Our next presentation is a presentation of proclamation supporting the annual Vero Beach Tunnel to Towers 5K Run and Walk. And this will be presented by Commissioner Ehrman. Come on up, ladies. I'm sorry, Commissioner Flesher. I can't read this morning. I apologize.
You sure?
Yes, Commissioner Flesher. It clearly says that right here. It's all you. Welcome.
And we have recipients.
We do.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Madam Chair, I have the distinct privilege and honor of presenting this proclamation, something that is a Vero Beach tradition, an Indian River County tradition. Our emergency responders have taken this to a full commitment, and I appreciate it personally. I know that some of us have participated in the run walk. More importantly is some appreciate that it's run and walk. That encourages many to come, because when you say run, it's I got to compete with people that are in great shape and willing to run with bunker gear in the heat. And we do see a tremendous commitment, but maybe we can really fill the house this year and do the right thing for Tunnels to Towers. Thank you. Well, I'd like to present the proclamation supporting the annual Vero Beach Tunnel to Towers 5K Run and Walk. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, FDNY firefighter Stephen Silla laid down his life to save others when America was attacked. For over 20 years, the Tunnel for Towers Foundation has honored Stephen's legacy by supporting the heroes who continue to risk life and limb in the line of duty. And whereas the foundation's major programs involve gifting mortgage-free homes to Gold Star families who have lost a loved one in the line of duty, as well as assisting catastrophically injured veterans with specially adapted smart homes to enhance their quality of life. Whereas to date, Tunnels for Towers has delivered over 1,000 mortgage-free homes and committed over $500 million to multiple organizations that assist families of injured or fallen first responders, including relief efforts and response to the natural disasters. And this year, the foundation is delivering over 200 mortgage-free homes and more than 3,000 housing units to combat veteran homelessness. And whereas the Tunnel for Towers Foundation made a promise to never forget those lost in the 9/11 and the continued impact at the attacks that have on America and its first responders. To keep that promise and educate future generations, the foundation engages with people in events across America. Whereas the first Tunnel for Towers race held in Indian River County was in September of 2013, and this year is the 12th anniversary race and will be held at Riverside Park in Vero Beach on September 7th, 2024. And the continued support from the Indian River County Fire Rescue and local law enforcement agencies. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that Indian River County is proud to support the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation and encourages the participation in the patriotic event that celebrates and actively appreciates first responders and military service members who serve, save, and sacrifice on our behalf every day. Duly adopted this 20th day of August 2024. It is signed by all 5 county commissioners, and we're committed to you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to receive this. And this is my race team. I'm very proud of them. They work really hard. The fire department does so much for us. I don't think we could do this without them. We appreciate you guys as well. Hope to see you out there. You can run, volunteer, walk. I'll push you. It doesn't matter. We hope to see you there.
While we're here at the podium, could we tell people how they can be involved? Because there are others that may find out about this or see the event and wish they could have been there. How can people participate, help to raise the funds necessary to do all these great acts and to participate in one of the most spirited and rewarding experiences in Indian River County?
Well, we just happen to have printed out some QR codes that I can leave out front for people. You just hit it with your phone, register on your phone. It's T2T.org. It pops up registration, donation, sponsor, anything you want to do. It's super simple. So, and you can register race day as well. And you can always sponsor us. We're always looking for it.
I wonder if there's any way that we could put the QR code up on the screen so that if anybody's viewing, they can do that as well.
I'm sure we can.
Could we, Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim, for doing that. Even if we just had it up there for just a minute, Anybody can go up to the screen and pick it up off the screen, the viewing
Thank
people.
you.
Just trying to make this as much of an event as it truly deserves to be. I was there on that day. And I took the initial run.
Helps if you do it then. All right, so if anybody wants more information, just scan that QR code with your phone camera, and it will take you to where you need to be for signups and all the information you need.
We also have a Facebook.
You have a
Tunnels to
Facebook
Towers, Vero
page?
Beach.
Tunnels to Towers, Vero Beach. Okay, so you can go there and find the information and links to everything you need. So please, everybody, support in one way or another. And like it was said, you don't have to be a magical marathon runner. You don't even have to be a magical marathon walker. You can totally stroll your way through and just support the organization and our first responders. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
And there is
Absolutely.
a
Thank you.
donation for the walk?
Yes. You can donate on t2t.org, or you can get there through our Facebook page as well. Yep. And you can always call any of us, so.
And I'm sure if any of us participate, that,
I believe we actually have some staff that's participating and volunteering, so,
And we have a little something for you guys as well.
okay,
We'll
fantastic.
see.
bunker gear that they might want to.
Let us wear.
Loan for those who want to participate in the full spirit and honor of the walk.
We'll see you,
And we have medics
we'll
if
see
you
you
fall
there.
out.
So I was gonna say, I will need some assistance if that is a requirement, Commissioner Fleischer, so I'm glad to hear there will be medics available.
Actually, Commissioner Ehrman and I walked it. That was last year, and I've done it pretty much every year. And it's,
Thank
you
you.
can do it. Everyone, you can do it. You can walk it.
There's no time limit. There's no time limit. You do it at your own pace. Yep.
And it's a beautiful observance. One of the things that always hits me when I walk it is the photos of the, you want to talk about that a minute? Just the photos of
Along
each
the
of,
walk, we put stakes out with the photos of the fallen heroes from the day. So as you're walking, you walk past them twice. It's a
just-
great, and we also have badges that you can run with that are the fallen heroes as well.
yeah, I have one of those. It's a beautiful memorial. I highly recommend everyone participate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You don't get purple. Purple's for us.
Open up a little bit. Okay.
Don't move too far. I'll get a tall person. No, you're good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very super. Thank you for that. Thank you.
See you later.
Okay. Commissioners, the next item is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 4th as well as June 18th.
Madam Chair, move approval both.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, there is quite a few things under informational items. The one thing I'd like to point out is the SWID closures and collection services changes for Labor Day. So those of you, please check that out. As you know, when there is a closure, it adjusts the waste and recycling pickup. So that is included there. And with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Commissioners, I have been asked by staff to pull 8AI and 8AO. Is there anybody else that would like to pull anything from consent?
8U as in Utah.
8U, okay. Anybody else? Anybody from the public wishing to pull anything from consent? All right.
Madam Chair, move approval as amended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Moss will take these in order. So 8U you're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the anchoring limitation area interlocal agreement, and I pulled it just to commend certain people who are instrumental in this and to share with the community what this will afford, and that is we'll be able to address derelict vessels in the lagoon a lot sooner, and that's for the entire county. I want to thank the City of Sebastian, City of Vero Beach, and Town of Indian River Shores for cooperating on this interlocal agreement and participating, and thank our county administrator for making it happen. This has been going on, or been a problem, I should say, for years. Back to when I was in my Vero Beach City Council days, I want to commend Keith Druitt, always came before council, and I see Mr. Michael Johansson in the audience, and he was also there, and Judy Orcott, and especially two environmental groups, Clean Water Coalition and Indian River Neighborhood Association, have pushed and pushed, and this has been years in the making, and I think it will be a wonderful thing for our county in terms of removing derelict vessels early. We all, we see it, and it's every time I see it, I'm glad. I'm so glad we're doing this. So move to approve.
Thank you. I'll be happy to second that. Commissioners, any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, Madam Chair, now that it's been polled, I did speak with the county administrator on this. I believe that we have to have a commitment of awareness and information, and ask that, again, the participants, the boating community will know those, the existing boating community, but I believe that we need to have it on the website and take a leadership role to ensure that people know that we have these zones, and they are in the municipalities as well. Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And with that, we'll move on to 8AI, Work Order Number 4, Amendment 1, Dune Crossover Replacement of 2 dune crossover structures and 1 dune crossover ramp repair at Tracking Station Beach Access. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Beth Powell, Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Director. We pulled this item just because we had a correction to the recommendation language. There was a mix-up whenever we uploaded the agenda item where the language should have been corrected to just move this work order through the normal workflow as opposed to having John sign it. So the new recommendation is staff respectfully requests that the Board of County Commissioners approve work order number 4, amendment number 1, continuing engineering services, RFQ 2010-008, continuing engineering services, RFQ 2010-008, renewal and amendment number 1, dune crossover replacement of 2 dune crossover structures and 1 dune crossover ramp repair at Trekking Station Beach Access, and request the board authorize the chairman to execute the work order for amendment number 4 after review and approval by the county attorney.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on that? Comments, concerns? If not?
Move approval.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Second with a Flesher by, we have a motion by Commissioner Flesher with a second by Commissioner Ehrman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And with that, we will move on to 8AO.
Thank you. We have the same issue here on this one, and so I'll just read the revised recommendation. Staff respectfully requests that the Board of County Commissioners approve work order number 25, amendment number 4, continuing engineering services, RFQ 2010-008, continuing engineering services, RFQ 2010-008, renewal and amendment number 1, Hobart Park restroom connections and utility service plans revisions, authorizing the professional services as outlined in Exhibit A, and requests the board authorize the chairman to execute the work order 25, amendment number 4, after review and approval by the county attorney.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions?
Madam Chair, you pulled it for
so they could give the update? Yes.
With that, since you can't approve it at this point, save the motion to approve.
Fantastic. I'll be happy to second that. If there's no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will move on to public hearings. Our first public hearing is consideration of an ordinance of Indian River County, Florida, amending the zoning ordinance and the accompanying zoning map for plus minus 9.91 acres from CG General Commercial District to CH Heavy Commercial District. And this is a quasi judicial matter, so I will go through all my paperwork here. This is a quasi, okay. Here's our checklist, commissioners. We're going to ask if you guys can disclose any ex parte communication, site visits, or independent investigations. Commissioner Lohr.
Can and will.
Commissioner Flesher.
Can and will,
All right, I have not had any,
and none that I'm aware
none,
of.
okay. Commissioner Ehrman,
I not have any can and will.
Commissioner Moss.
None, and nothing to disclose, and can and will.
Okay, well, that covers that question too, but just to go through it, confirm that you guys have open minds and are able to base your decisions on the evidence presented. Yes,
Can and will.
yes, yes.
Can and will.
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we'll open the public hearing and ask that anybody that's going to testify or provide input be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Fabulous. All right, we'll move on to the county presentation.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Chris Balter, Chief of Long Range Planning. Today we have before you Patriot Response Group LLC's rezoning request from CG to CH. Description and conditions. The property contains 9.91 acres and is located on the west side of Highway US 1, east of Old Dixie Highway. The property is currently zoned CG, General Commercial Zone District. The purpose of this request is to rezone the property to CH Heavy Commercial Zoning District and to develop the site within the permitted uses. The surrounding land use pattern consists of a mixture of commercial to the north, industrial land to the west across the FEC railroad tracks and Old Dixie Highway, with the nearest single-family development to the southeast across Highway US 1 at Grand Harbor. CG, General Commercial District, is designed for general retail commercial uses with no warehousing, is intended to provide for development of general retail sales and selected service activities. It prohibits outside storage and limits self-storage to 3 acres. The CG zoning district is not intended to provide for heavy commercial activities, such as outside commercial service uses, heavy repair services, or industrial uses. Before you is the zoning map. It shows the 3 parcels that are looking to be rezoned to CH. And the future land use map that shows that it's all commercial industrial. The CH proposed zoning, a heavy commercial zoning district, is intended to provide for areas for establishing, engaging in wholesale trade, major repair services, and restricted light manufacturing activities. Provides for support services necessary for development of commercial and industrial uses allowed within other non-residential zoning districts. The request for rezoning is consistent with the CI future land use designation. Commercial industrial future land use designation is intended to provide areas for development of industrial and commercial uses. It's located in areas with suitable level of service and infrastructure for urban scale development, located along major transportation routes and separated from residential areas. And with this, there's no future land use amendment needed for the proposed request. So when we do a rezoning, we do an analysis per chapter 902.12, subsection 3, and it is as follows. A, in conflict with any applicable portions of land development regulations, it is not, it meets this criteria. Is consistent with all elements of the comprehensive plan, it is not, it meets this criteria as well. Consistent with the existing and proposed land uses, it meets this criteria. In compliance with the adopted current county thoroughfare plan, it meets this criteria. It generates traffic, would decrease the level of service as adopted. It does not, it meets this criteria as well. F, subject to change conditions exist that are warranted and warrant the amendment, it does meet this criteria as well, and would decrease the level of service established for sanitary sewer, potable water, solid waste, drainage, and recreation. It does not decrease, so it meets this criteria as well. The size to be rezoned is 9.91 acres. The existing CG zoning district is 10,000 square feet is the max. The proposed CH zoning district is wholesale commercial, and that's 20,000 square feet, so it is a little bit bigger. And then the analysis as continued. H, results in significant adverse impact on natural environment. It does not, so it meets this criteria. Item I, results in orderly and logical development pattern, specifically identify any negative effects on such pattern. It does not have any negative effect, so it meets this criteria. In conflict with public interest and in harmony with the purpose and intent of the land development regulations, it meets this criteria as well. And K, any other matters that may be deemed appropriate in the review and consideration, and it met all its concurrency mandated, so it meets that criteria as well. In conclusion, the request CH zoning district is compatible with the surrounding areas, consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the county's adoptive comprehensive plan, is consistent with the county's land development regulations, is deemed suitable for CH zoning, supported by staff, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously on June 13th during a public hearing to support this as well. Staff's recommendation, staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve this request to rezone the subject property from CG to CH. That being said, I'd be happy to answer any question the commission may have.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff? Commissioner Moss?
What is the proposed use?
The proposed use is, it's actually Patriot Response Group, so their office is actually in Vero Beach, and they'll be moving their corporate office to that location.
So
it's a contractor trade office.
So it's a corporate office, but it requires rezoning for heavy?
Because it's a trade office.
Yes, they do. It's similar to ServPro is what they do, so think of that. So they do.
Because they'll need equipment, storage, and that kind of stuff.
So it's trucks
Yes.
coming in and out of the property?
Correct.
So do we know how many?
I don't know how
I mean,
many
I'm just
trucks
concerned
yet.
about traffic, because I'm sure we all get a lot of complaints about traffic. I know I do. I'll speak for myself.
With it being on US 1 and Dixie, it's not going to fail the level of service even with that. But a traffic study will be required when it goes through the formal site plan submittal process. A traffic analysis was submitted during this process, and it was approved by our engineering department as well.
Is there any kind of discharge or environmental hazard having the trucks? I mean, is there any kind of leakage from the trucks? I mean, what are the trucks, what kind of trucks, I guess?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure that the applicant can speak on behalf of any of the trucks that enter and exit the site. Generally, it's anywhere between box trucks or cleanup trucks from fires or actual natural disasters.
So I'm just thinking a little bit further down, US 1 and Old Dixie is like Meeks Plumbing. So it would probably be something similar to that, where they have their office, but they also kind of have a yard for their equipment. But whatever they're doing as far as the services that they're providing, and then I don't want to say discharge, but whatever's coming from that would have to be taken to the proper facilities. And then they bring the equipment back there to store. I look at it as something similar within that corridor. I know that's further down, but
That's correct.
essentially that's, I'm assuming, what the use is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, other questions? No? All right, is the applicant here? No? Okay, well, then, is there any input from the public? Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none? Chris, do you have a final presentation? That's pretty much it. Okay. All right, have all the documents and tangible evidence been given to the clerk?
Yes.
Yes. All right, with that, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Madam Chair? It appears that after staff's close scrutiny in accordance with 902.12, paragraph 3, it covers all four corners of concern. Move approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Flesher with a second by Commissioner Lohr. There's no further discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And with that, we will move on to our second public hearing, which is consideration of an ordinance of Indian River County, Florida, amending the zoning ordinance and the accompanying zoning map for plus 1.45 acres from IL Light Industrial District to CG General Commercial District. This is also a quasi judicial matter, so bear with me, we'll go through our checklist again. Commissioners, have you had any ex parte communication, site visits, or independent investigations?
None.
Commissioner? I have not.
Have not.
Commissioners, can you confirm that you have an open mind and are able to base your decision on the evidence presented in applicable law?
Can and will.
Can and will.
Can and will.
All right, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody that's going to speak on this matter, please stand to be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Fantastic. At this time, we will move on to the presentation by county staff. Chris, welcome back.
We have Mr. Jody Miller's request to rezone from IL to CG. Description and conditions. The property contains 1.45 acres and is located on the west side of Highway US 1, east of Old Dixie Highway. This property is currently zoned IL Light Industrial Zoning District. The purpose of this request is to rezone the property to CG, General Commercial Zoning, and to develop the site with the uses permitted that are more suitable for retail sales and selected service activities. The surrounding land use pattern consists of a mixture of commercial to the north, industrial land to the west, and single-family development to the east. Attached, you can see the zoning map in front of you that shows the subject property is on the edge of CG. And the future land use map shows that it is commercial industrial and that it is in the commercial node. IL, Light Industrial District, is intended to provide for limited manufacturing and industrial services designed to promote the establishment of employment centers that are located close to urban resources, services, and facilities, located in areas with an available labor force and local industry and businesses markets while minimizing the potential for any adverse impacts upon nearby properties. You can see that there's actually a little bit of a reduction from IL to CG. It allows the minimum area. The proposed zoning district for CG is designated for general retail commercial uses with no warehousing, intended to provide for development of general retail sales and selected service activities, prohibits outside storage and limits self-storage to 3 acres, and the CG zoning district is not intended to provide for heavy commercial activities such as outside commercial service uses, heavy repair services, or industrial uses. The rezoning request is consistent with the CI future land use designation. It is part of the commercial industrial future land use node. Commercial industrial future land use designation is intended to provide for areas of development of industrial and commercial uses, located in areas that are suitable level of service infrastructure for urban scale development, located along major transportation routes and separated from residential areas. And with this request, no future land use amendment change is proposed as part of this request. We have the same analysis as previous of 902.12. Is it in conflict with any, in conflict with any applicable portion of land development regulations? It is not, so it meets this criteria. Consistent with elements of the comprehensive plan, it meets this criteria as well. Consistent with the existing and proposed land uses, it meets this criteria. It's compliant with the current county's thoroughfare plan, which it does. It generates traffic which would decrease the level of service. As adopted, it does not decrease the level of service, so it meets this criteria. The subject to change conditions existed that warrant the amendment. It does. With this lot being so small for industrial, it didn't really make it viable for an end user. Would decrease the level of services for sanitary sewer, potable water, solid waste, drainage, and recreation. It does not decrease that. So it meets that criteria. And significant adverse impact on natural environment, it does not, so it meets that criteria. Results in an orderly and logical development pattern, it does, it meets that criteria. Is it in conflict with the public interest? It is not, it's in harmony with it, so it meets that criteria. and any other matters that may be deemed appropriate in the review. It has met the concurrency standards, so it meets that criteria as well. The conclusion, request for the CG zoning district is compatible with the surrounding area, consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the county's adopted comprehensive plan, is consistent with the county's land development regulations, it's deemed suitable for CG, and supported by staff, and was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 13th unanimously. Staff's recommendation, staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve the request to rezone the subject property from IL to CG. That being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I did want to note that there is a proposed use at this site as well for the Vero Racket Club.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? Yes, Commissioner
Just
Moss.
again on traffic,
Mhm.
so it's going to be a sports facility? Is that what
A
you're
racket
saying?
club. Mhm.
Racket club. I assume with manufacturing, there was not a lot of traffic, or would not be anticipated to be a lot of traffic as opposed to a retail. Have you had any, discussion with them about what they're expecting in terms of traffic?
So
Going
we
forward?
did have a traffic analysis that was submitted as well, and it did pass. It didn't decrease any of our level of service. I can't tell you exactly how many they expect to be at the location. I know that the applicant is here, and they may have a better idea of the architectural design of the building to see how many people they would actually be housing in there.
So you're more intimately involved with the process itself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you counsel them as the process goes along with regard to traffic? 'Cause, it's become an overwhelming concern.
So yes, so when they first meet with the Long Range Planning Division, they actually have a pre-application meeting. And any of the issues that arise out of that pre-application meeting, traffic being one of them, if it's seen, is discussed at that time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. Commissioners, other questions? Okay, is the applicant here, or is there any presentation by the applicant? Nope, okay. Any input from the public? Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, Chris, do you have anything final? Nope. All right. Have all the documents and tangible evidence been given to the clerk?
Yes.
Fantastic. At this time, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion approved.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Lohr with a second by Commissioner Flesher. There's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And with that, we will move on to our final public hearing, which is a legislative one, so we do not have to do a checklist. This is Jonathan D. Barquette's request for abandonment of a 25-foot wide platted right-of-way. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. For the record, my name's Brandon Christopher Cragen, Chief of Current Development. Good morning, Commissioners. Before you today is a right-of-way abandonment for 19th Court. The subject area to be abandoned is east of US Highway 1 and south of 41st Street. The right-of-way is 25 feet in width and 627.26 feet in length. The whole entire area that you see on screen is going to be subject to the abandonment, the area in black. All reviewing departments have reviewed and recommended approval of the abandonment. This area is not needed for county roadway or access to any of the surrounding properties. The one lone property that is not a party to this abandonment request is located at 1925 41st Street, and it does have direct access to 41st Street. Coincidentally, before coming into this meeting, the applicants today that are requesting this abandonment have informed me that they are actually in contract to purchase 1925 41st Street, so it will no longer become an issue anymore. No easements are required for this abandonment request. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners abandon its right to the subject portion of the subject right-of-way and authorize the chairman to execute the abandonment resolution. I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions? No? Anybody from the public? Oh, I guess did I officially open the public hearing? No. Oh. No. Public hearing's not open, sorry. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. All right, commissioners, I apologize. Any comments, questions, or concerns? If not, what is your pleasure? All right, we have a motion, we have several motions. We have a motion by Commissioner Ehrman with a second by Commissioner Flesher. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Don't worry, Commissioner Laura, I'll catch you next time.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
give him a double.
All right, Bill, public notice items. I think that's you. Okay.
There is going to be an assessment resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County adopting a non-ad valorem special assessment within the county limits for the purpose of benefiting assessed properties through enhanced Medicaid payments for local services, finding and determining that certain real property is specifically benefited by the assessment, and collecting the assessment against the real property. This will be heard by the Board of County Commissioners on September 10, 2024 at 9:05 a.m. or as soon after as the matter may be heard. Madam Chairman?
Thank you so much.
Is this something we have to renew? We did this before. Is this something?
Yes, this is an annual process that you have to go, or that has to be done in order for the hospitals to receive additional Medicaid money.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a renewal.
All right. With that, we will move on to utility services. Welcome, Sean, 4230 20th Avenue, bad debt write-off of utility account and future continuation of service.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Lisi, Utilities Director. As you mentioned, 4230 20th Avenue was a property that went through foreclosure starting in 2022, was eventually foreclosed on in 2024, where the county assumed ownership of that in April earlier this year. And then at the June 18th, 2024 BCC meeting, a resolution was resolved to cancel the taxes on the property. Unfortunately, the utility department the property had an equivalent residential unit associated with it for sewer services. And so they had some bad debt associated with that property where they had an assessment that was not paid. They had some unpaid service availability charges, some miscellaneous fees that they also did not pay, as well as some penalties and interest, for a grand total of $37,334.48. What we are asking today is a couple of items. One is to allow the write-off of that bad debt, so writing off that $37,000. However, the property still has the ERU associated with it, so it still has the sewer ERU associated with that property. Therefore, service availability charges will still continue to accrue on that property, unless we do a couple of things. One, we could relinquish the ERU, and that is something that the board would have to do. Upon relinquishing that ERU, whoever then purchases that property or uses that property in the future would have to pay the or would have to pay to reinstate that ERU. Or there's a couple of other options that could be done. The other would continue to accrue the service availability charges, so determining which county department would actually be responsible for continuing to pay that until that property is developed or turned over to somebody else to further develop. And the third option would be to have the county general fund pay 6 months of that service availability charges up front for a total of $145 to allow time for the county to dispose of the property. At the point of the disposition of that property or disposal of that to whomever, somebody else, and I believe there might be some owners who are, or some property owners who are interested in purchasing that property, they would then take over that service availability charge at that time.
So I would prefer to go with staff's recommendation of option 3, only because I know there's some affordable housing groups. We're trying to make what we can available, and leaving that ERU on there just helps the process streamline it a little bit faster to move some of those projects forward.
And if we canceled the ERU, they would have to pay the $2,700 approximately to have that service reinitiated for that, so.
Which just seems like kind of a waste if that's what if we're trying to facilitate those types of projects. So, and if we're not able to get something done in 6 months, we can always revisit it, but I would suspect that we could make something happen there sooner rather than later. So that's my 2 cents on it. Commission, any other input or questions or concerns for Sean on this? If not,
Madam Chair, I think option 3 is obviously the best in all interest of future and current owners. Motion to approve.
all right, I have a motion by Commissioner Lohr with a second by Commissioner Flesher. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all very
Sean.
much.
All right, with that, we'll move on to, hold on, let me get my ducks in a row here. We'll move on to county attorney's matters. The first item is authorization to move forward with injunctive action against code enforcement case number, very long number, 202-308-0033. Welcome, Ms. Prado.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. At this point in time, this particular case, the name of the case is Hellcell. It has started in Fellsmere back in the summer of 2023. This particular code enforcement property had a code order subsequently issuing back in March of 2024 in which a fine was issued on this case that still did not entice the property owners to come into compliance. Then as recently as the last code enforcement board, staff thought that that this property does in fact meet the criteria for a public nuisance pursuant to our our Indian River Code, section 973.04. And under Florida statutes 403.413, there are two separate statutes which we can kind of look at here. One of them is the Florida litter law, which does prohibit dumping of wood and other materials on private property that creates a public nuisance or otherwise violates local laws, regulations. This, in conjunction with Florida statute 6.05, allows the county to bring an injunction to enjoin the public nuisance. This particular property, the facts of the case are that there are numerous pieces of debris, mainly being large dead trees that were brought and trucked from outside of the property and brought onto the property. I did speak with the attorney for the respondents yesterday. Okay, and she is present. And it looks like there are a couple of updates on this particular issue, but that's where this started. They started to build what they called a quote-unquote berm and do some other stuff. But because of the wood and other debris that could be launchable items in a hurricane event or could create also the ability of a fire. If we know that there's some other code sections when people deal with mulching and the stockpiles, they have to be a certain level. So at this point in time, staff deemed that it would be deemed a public nuisance. The Code Enforcement Board upheld that and issued an order stating such. So it is, at this point in time, the request of staff to continue to move forward with an injunction to cease them from bringing forward any more accumulations of dead trees or anything else onto the property. I will say that with that being said, I did speak with staff who is here present today. Mr. Stephen Hitt, who did visit the property yesterday, and he said that the property owners have made the most progress that they've made to come into compliance with their code violation as of yesterday, but are not quite in compliance yet. So if you would like to hear more of the facts of that, I'm happy to have Mr. Hitt come up and speak to you on that matter. But the injunction that will be sought would be not one of us going onto the property to remedy the injunction as we have in the past. It would be one to simply enjoin them or ask a court order to have them cease from bringing items onto the property.
Thank you. Because at this point, we haven't been able to enforce the code order of ceasing to bring debris onto the property, correct?
Correct. That's the purpose of this, yes.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff? This has been an ongoing issue. Okay, Stephen? Can you give us a little history?
Sure. For the record, Stephen Hitt, Principal Environmental Planner, Indian River County. Sure, yeah. So basically, we met on site yesterday morning to discuss some of the ongoing progress that they've made since meeting last week. Just a short, brief history of the problems were there were large trucks bringing in entire trees and limbs. And they were stacking.
Land clearing debris.
Yes, land clearing debris. that was then stacked around the perimeter of the site. And that was the main problem. So we've been working through getting those addressed. So a large portion of the eastern berm has been completely removed. That was a stack of trees and debris, and that has been mulched and taken off site. There is currently mulch on the northwest portion of the property that they're going to be integrating with fill to create a proper berm in accordance with what they've been told by staff. The rest of the berms appear to have been reworked completely, where they've removed any of the outstanding trees and large debris so that it can be processed for mulch and then reconstituted into the berm. So based on what I saw yesterday, that is moving toward compliance. They still have some permitting issues that they're working through right now. I believe there was a submittal this week based on staff comments from Public Works for a Type C permit, which is related to a floodplain violation that they had on this case. And so, like I said, it appears that everything is finally moving forward. So.
Are they removing the berms? Because that's been a question of some of the surrounding property owners.
So the plan that was submitted by their engineer was to retain a berm on site around the entire perimeter. There is a section that will have a break in it, I believe, leading to the North Canal as their discharge point for that Type C permit. But the intention is to have a berm around the property.
Okay. And what's the zoning and land use?
So I believe the zoning is A2, which would be an agricultural zoning. Future land use would also be ag,
agricultural,
yeah.
residential?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Anybody else for staff at this moment? No? Did you want to say something?
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Chairman. I thank you for the time. It's been a confusing series of almost a year going forward. I just got involved in this on Friday and been trying to go through staff's reports, which have been very good. A lot of what has happened here, I think might be evident, is my clients have taken some left turns thinking that was the way to go when there were multiple choices to take that depended on whether or not the floodplain issues were being addressed. So there was going to be a disconnect, I think, in their minds, and maybe also a little bit of a trouble in understanding exactly when they're going to the code board, what was happening at the code board. And that's not something I think that they should have taken on themselves. As I say, I wish I had been on this sooner because that was an evidentiary hearing. They should have had people there giving evidence and more than just a few pictures, obviously. And I hadn't even seen, but Mr. Hitt's work has been great and detailing the emails and such of what has to go on. They were a little overwhelmed, but they certainly should have been more tuned in. So they're terribly apologetic. We come here, very much in the position of saying, oops, this is not where we wanted to be. They've been very sincere all along as well, and I think staff can confirm that. They've not been combative, they've just been confused. And I think in the code board especially, it would have been the time to really clear things up, but we're trying to do that now. We met yesterday, as Mr. Hitt said, and the county attorney said, to take a look and see what progress has been made because we've been trying to get them back into the straight. There are certain tranches of things to get done, and they'll focus on one and then focus on another, and they really have to work together. So what we're trying to do is put a plan together that makes that all work. They were unaware that the Type C permit would really impact so many of the other things that were going to happen. So that's a confusion. They apologize. They have brought, well, actually, it's mostly Mr. Hitt's pictures from yesterday. They did a tremendous amount of work to clean up their, and let me clear up too, for several months now, I mean, they stopped bringing in, as far as the nuisance goes, there wasn't debris coming in. I think that was incorrect information. I don't know where it was received. Again, I'm trying to get through, there's like 161 pages of people submitting information on this property. Obviously, several neighbors are interested in it. And so when those things come in, we have been trying to figure out what was accurate, what was not. But they have not been bringing it in. As far as the nuisance and having an injunction, there hasn't been anything coming onto the property. They were told that. They also tried to get all of their equipment off. I think they've gotten it off all yesterday. So we have pictures of that as well. Because they're used to, I guess, working up in Brevard on a completely different type of property. And they can like leave a dump truck there and such. There are obviously things here that they needed to be aware of in the code. And they, again, I think need to put a full plan together, which is what I'm doing now. I'm hoping that all the crossed wires will be uncrossed. My conversation with the attorney yesterday was very helpful, and with Mr. Hitt. I mean, both of us were pretty much, we don't know how this got so far off, because everybody seemed very well-intentioned. There wasn't really any movement to try and get around things. There was misunderstanding about what they could and couldn't do. Say bringing on an incinerator when they had state approval, but they had to go through enormous code approval in the county to do that, and they didn't understand that part. So it's up to them to do it. That's not an excuse. We need to know those things ahead of time, and that's what I'm trying to do, put that plan together. They, as I say, have made a great deal of progress, and staff has been very reasonable and very open with all of us. And again, yesterday, we saw a great deal of progress. There aren't the big tree stumps and such. The chipper doesn't always clean up every tree perfectly, but most of it is done very well. I think too, short version, they've come to the realization that they needed help and that code was trying to help them, but I think the comprehension of what was going on, I mean, they got some notices and they swore to me, well, no, that's not what that says. And I said, right here. They're telling you very clearly, the county's on your side here. They're giving you the information you need. So once we get that all plotted, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get this back in, I think, good shape, real good shape. They intend very much, they want to be in Fellsmere. They intend very much to have their programs, and they do obviously good charity work for rescuing horses and do a lot of it on their own. And I think they kind of missed the boat when they didn't incorporate a few more people to help. So we come here to ask that maybe you can just delay. I don't know about, as far as the nuisance, I read up on that. If you can delay doing an injunction, since we've made the progress. And we have pictures to show that. And also, I mean, we'll be addressing the foreclosure as well. But I think we can work with you from here on forward to get this done in a very speedy manner. Once they understand what they need to do, they're very active.
So, Commissioners, I just want to give a little bit of history on this issue because I've been contacted many times by many different surrounding property owners. It's not just one or two. There's quite a few when Ms. Larkin refers to 161 pages of documentation that's been submitted. That's pictures and videos that are sent to code, they're sent to Ms. Prado, they've been sent to myself, they've been sent to Mr. Hitt, pretty much everybody over the course of the year. And what was happening is the property owner had a land clearing company that was bringing in semi-truck loads, not just little trucks, not brush trucks, like semi-truck loads of land clearing debris and dumping them around the perimeter and then covering them with dirt to create a berm. And it's a pretty substantial berm. It's not like, I mean, it's tall, the berm is taller than me. I mean, I know I'm short, but it's a very big, substantial berm. And the trucking was happening at all hours, and I can attest to seeing them drive down Babcock Street because, you know, this is in the general area of my property as well. So this continued and continued and continued until, and even after the fines were imposed in March, it still continued. There was an incinerator on the property, there was some burning that was going on, there was a giant mulcher that was brought in, and there was mulching going on. And there are houses, there are residential houses that surround this. I mean, it's the ag area, so it's 10, 20 acres, but there's still houses. There's one literally right next to the berm. The neighbors were very concerned about wildfires. They were very concerned about the noise. They were very concerned about the use. They were concerned that this was a commercial use, or that's where it was going, a recycling facility. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. So it hasn't been until the past month when I think the discussion about the injunction started and foreclosure that any real meaningful progress has happened and any meaningful stopping of any of the uses has occurred. I believe the property owner has said that they intend to use the property as a horse rescue. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work with a giant berm, but that's, you know, on them. I've never seen that in any of my ag husbandry years, that is something that you would do. So I can understand that neighbors' concerns. I can also understand that, you know, from a county perspective, you're bringing in things from outside the county. We've had this issue in the past down in the South County where a local mulching company was dumping mulch on ag property. But that was part of a best practices for a soil amendment for a farming situation. This is completely different. So I understand, Ms. Larkin, what you're saying regarding the property owners are working to address it. I think in the past, when these things have come to us from code enforcement, we have always, the code board is autonomous. It really just comes to us as a courtesy. They have their own enforcement capabilities. And we as a board have always supported the code enforcement's position and moved that forward and then left it to the affected property owner and the code board to work out as that moves through the process. I'm of the opinion that if they're not moving the stuff onto the property, then the injunction shouldn't affect them. However, if they do start moving stuff onto the property again, we have a tool in place that we haven't had to be able to address it because, you know, we cannot go out, save for me going out and throwing myself in the middle of the road. We don't have law enforcement capability, and I don't think that's a really productive way to do it. We don't have law enforcement capabilities to call and say, hey, there's a code order against this, but trucks are still coming on the property. Can somebody come out and see what's going on? We don't have the ability to do that without this injunction. And I think that that's where the code board has been a little frustrated with getting the attention, and it seems like maybe the attention is there now, which is great. But I'm of the opinion that we need to continue through this process. You guys can work on it, but then we have the tools in place because it's been over a year. And if we stop or give that extra time and it doesn't work out, then we are, you know, we are behind where we need to be to rectify the situation.
I think we'd be agreeable to that. I don't mind, and I'm sure my clients wouldn't mind, that there be any extra protections for the county on this, simply because of the BAST. Again, there was an intention to stop this and make sure that when the incinerator's gone, they also unwisely relied on some other people's, like you say, some other properties that aren't similarly situated. And they thought that they could mulch and put things into the berm. And that's not how that works on that kind of property. And so now they're aware of that and they've cleaned it up. They're the injunction is not the biggest problem. The foreclosure is something that we would like to just delay. You can stay on the boards if necessary, but our time for appealing the code, the code decision is coming up, and I thought if we could get an agreement to delay that, it's still available to you, but if we can show further progress and show you that this isn't, it truly wasn't intentional, and I do know these people and known them for several years, and I'm sorry myself personally that I didn't know this was going on. It would have been a whole lot easier if they had had some legal help with this. Because you need to get into the code first and know what property you have. You have to know what the restrictions are, and code is likely telling you that. But unless you have a paper in front of you, sometimes people don't really catch on. So if we could, certainly accept an injunction and maybe put off the foreclosure, we'd be very happy with that and come back at any point, certainly to code, and show them more of our progress.
Okay, well, this current item in front of us is specific to the injunction.
Right.
Correct. And if I may, just very quickly, so under 60.05, the injunction, everything has to be done within a time frame. So it has to be done within 30 days from that order issued, which is why I brought it here today. I will tell you that if it's the board's desire for me to continue with the injunction, I can attempt to do that. I will at least give a little bit of advice and warning that if they happen to be, at the time the injunction is being heard, be deemed to be in a more compliant standard or no longer fit the facts of the injunction, that may not go through. So I just need to give and be specifically clear advice as to how this may or may not turn out. So I just want to give you all your options.
And I think Mr. Hitt has some, pardon me, I do apologize.
No, go ahead. I was going to move to approve the filing of the petition for injunctive relief.
Okay. I'll be happy to second that. Commissioners?
I think we've given them ample notice. I'd be curious to know when the rehab started, so to speak, probably when they caught wind that this was going to be an agenda item is my guess. Don't know, but I'll go along with the motion.
And Councilor Larkin, you have a great track record, and I admire your interest. I wish that you said you're familiar with the clients for a number of years, but you were not aware of this scenario. I believe if you were, we probably wouldn't have been here today.
Yeah, and I think that's...
I think with the communication, the cooperation, and your energy, I don't believe we would be here today. I just wanted to let that out. You kind of answered my question when you said, I'm familiar with them, but
I
you
only
were
knew the
not
progress
aware.
was going, yes.
This was discussed. I get it.
Details.
We are aware of the situation. We all get communication about this scenario. I want to be guided by Stephen Hitt's understanding of the progression, so council can do her job.
I was going to suggest that as far as, the
Yeah.
injunction. Stephen has a very good idea and pictures for you too, if you need to see the very, very hard work and that we've accomplished. We were all out there yesterday out in the field, and it shows a great deal of the change.
And again, you said they have great intentions.
I do.
And they were well-intended, but we know what happens to that road and pathway to that other place. It's paved
Assumptions
with
can
a
be
whole lot of
made.
people with good intentions.
Yeah.
So let's allow the intentions to go forward, and as this progresses, there could be the 11th hour call. Counselor?
That's correct. If there's no longer evidence for an injunction, then there's no longer evidence for an injunction. But at this point in time, I don't know that we're there yet, which is why I'm asking the board if you'd like to continue. And if we get to that point, then we get to that point.
And
That's why
I
the
believe that we
continuance, I see. Yes.
need to continue, but they have to beat feet and get the job done.
Exactly.
The neighbors won't be as disrupted and
Yes.
inconvenienced, and we can have a happy mission.
That's right, exactly. Well, and as Mr. Head has pointed out, there has been a good deal of change, so it may well be that the injunction isn't appropriate at this time. It may be down the road. It is, again, not something that we are complaining about because we know why it's, being proposed. But again, back at the code board meeting, I think there even some of the code board folks were still trying to set out things to do to go forward to avoid the foreclosure, which we'll talk about. And I think that indicated too, some of those things were what we're concerned with the injunction. So we knew at that time that they were, moving forward, that there was progress being made.
Thank you.
All right. There is a motion by Commissioner Moss with a second by myself. Any further discussion, commissioners? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? No. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll move on. The authorization to proceed with foreclosures on code enforcement cases, Areola, Lund, and Helsel. So, Susan, you want to take these separately? All right, so we'll start with, which one do you want to start with?
I was going to ask Commissioner if we could please just start with Helsel since they're at the podium
that's
and just
fine.
take it out of order.
Okay. Commissioners, there are, four foreclosures on this item, so we'll need an individual motion on each one. Is that how you want to handle it?
Correct.
And we're going to start with the one that's listed in the backup last first.
Yes. So
Okay.
this is the Helsel case, and it is the code enforcement case 2023-08-0033. You've heard many of the backup on it already. I won't belabor the issue and the evidence on it. So we do have our order imposing fine. This did start back. There was an evidentiary hearing January 22nd, 2024. And they had one extension to come into compliance. They have a $250 per day fine that is currently running and is recorded at OR book and page 3690, 732. And as of today's date, the property is not in compliance. So staff is seeking to move forward with foreclosure at this point in time. We, once again, as we have said in many, and I will reiterate this, we don't like taking things to foreclosure. If it stops beforehand and they come into compliance beforehand, we don't send things out to outside counsel. And just a side note, the one case that the utilities director brought forward, the one particular property, that was only the second foreclosure that the county had done out of the many that have been brought in front of this board. Most of the time they come into compliance. So while this is a last result that I know that the board doesn't like to take, it is a measure that sometimes we get to. So I wanted to at least put that out there for the board and for your consideration.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff at this time? No? Ms. Larkin, anything that you want to add?
I think I probably covered most of that previously. Just to reiterate, though, that the code board meeting was something that we should have been a part of together. And there was much evidence, and we didn't even subpoena, or at the time they didn't subpoena witnesses that could have helped everyone understand this. So we're hopeful that that can be put off because, of course, that's a huge step and also an expensive step. And we want to be able to prove to you that we're moving forward. And as I said, Mr. Hitt's pictures will show just how much has been done just in the past week, because he was there last week as well. And we have pictures of that, but also newer pictures that the Helsels have that they worked all last night as well to make sure that the property was clear of equipment and a lot more of there's a lot of agricultural underpinnings, the pipes and things. It's obviously a citrus farm. So, that stuff is being worked very hard currently, and it's going to continue to do so. So we're begging a little mercy on the foreclosure action. Thank you.
So just to kind of reiterate what I said before, for us, this isn't the first time that a foreclosure has been brought before us from code. Since code is an autonomous board it's being brought to us out of a courtesy. They've already made the decision to move that forward.
Correct.
In the past, commissioners, we have always supported what the code board has said as a measure to ensure that things continue to move forward. And I can say we have supported that several times, and the foreclosure has not gone forward because the property has been brought into compliance. So there is, because filing and all that other stuff takes time, there is the time to bring that property into compliance. And if you guys are working on that, as you say that you are, then I would think that you would be able to bring it into compliance and avoid the foreclosure. However, from my perspective, our position has been to support the code board, and I don't see how we could not continue to do that as a policy position.
If I can add, I've watched foreclosures, and the courts are very amenable to, of course, especially the county commission or the code board, to moving forward on a foreclosure. They actually go fairly quickly. And in these days and age when we have, Zoom hearings and stuff, it's much easier for them to do it. It doesn't take months. It can happen quickly. And that's why I'm here. As I say, I just stepped into this. I can't tell you exactly all the different code things that we have yet. I'm still making a list. But I think we're very, very close, but I can't guarantee that. I want to make sure that we are all in touch with this. We need to know from the code board and certainly from Mr. Hitt and his staff exactly what we need to do. And I'm not sure that we have that full list yet, simply because I only had the 3 days here to put that together. So I realize that you want to support the code board, and that is natural. But I think because the code board was waffling at the last meeting, I think they were trying at least to put forward some other ideas so that they didn't vote on that. And I realize why the county attorney wanted to move forward. I do get that. It gets to be frustrating when you all are dealing with so many of these cases. But in this situation, I'm hoping for a slight delay simply because I know the courts, and the courts might overtake us. And that's a little bit scary. And also it's going to cost everyone money, which you might want to, save a little in that respect, because I think you have to get outside counsel and such to do that. But we do appreciate having the opportunity to talk today, since, again, I wasn't there earlier and wish I had been.
Right. Yes, Susan?
So just our outside counsel, I can tell you, you do have some time. It's not like they turn around. I don't turn around and send it this afternoon, because this meeting will probably go a little longer. But it will be sent out, and outside counsel does take some time to get some stuff done. I don't know about the board. I don't know about the code enforcement, the term of them waffling, because I think they were more concerned about the disregard for the order. So at this point in time, we're still asking to move forward. If they come into compliance, obviously it won't get sent, but they have time. It's not going to go to the foreclosure court tomorrow. I think the last time we looked at it, I think it's been roughly a month before stuff gets filed. So they have time. It's not like it's something that happens tomorrow. And even then, I know the foreclosures that we have, it's taken a number of months for them to get finalized. It's not something that's finalized that quickly. We have just barely finalized, I think, what was it, back in April, one that started a few months before that. That was now a property that was being given for affordable housing. So, and that's only the second out of the numerous that haven't gone because people have come into compliance.
As I say, I'm not sure where we are on the compliance. And again, I'm also sort of begging for myself, because I'm just now kind of going through the paperwork, and I would like to be able to give you that. If it's only a week time, that would be perfectly fine for me, so that I can catch up and give you a much better idea of a map of what we've got put together.
And I respect your position and what you're saying. I just feel like for us as a commission to second guess the code board, who's been intimately involved in this, is just not a good policy place for us to be in. So that's where I'm at.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
It appears that the owners have retained counsel, obviously, when things started getting serious. We have to support code. I motion we go forward, as Ms. Prada has mentioned, and in the interim, if the owners can come in compliance, as she mentioned, and we've seen these cases before, resolve themselves prior to the courts hearing the case.
Ask, how close, Stephen, how close are we to compliance?
So I think it's important to know that there is kind of one curveball issue with compliance with this case related to the Type C permitting, because that is certainly an aspect of this that isn't in their control, because there's a review process with the county staff in Public Works for Type C permitting. So once that permit is received and reviewed and approved, then they can begin doing the changes to the site that they need to do to be in compliance with that part of the order. So that is the one aspect of this that is a little bit out of their control, because my understanding is that we were supposed to receive that this week. I believe we have, but I have to check with staff because I haven't heard anything today. And I'm not the one reviewing that, so I can't speak to how long that's going to take. And then once that plan is constructed on the property, so once the berm is constructed and once the lake is excavated and everything is in compliance with that, then there'll be a certification. There might be a follow-up as-built survey that depends on, whether that's required of staff. And so, yeah, I can't give you an accurate timeline with that one aspect. Everything else, I think, is going to be resolved fairly soon, to be honest with you. But that's the one thing, like, I wouldn't.
The berm.
Yeah, I wouldn't stake the construction of the Type C required improvements.
Yeah, some of that is way out of our control, so that's why I'm a little nervous about how long that might take.
So, if I may, I can tell you that when there's other cases that we've had with a similar situation, when there's something that is in our ball, in our court, we're not going to be moving forward with a foreclosure if there's something that's in our court. Essentially, what I'm asking for is for authorization. Should you fail to move forward? Should it fail to be submitted? Should you fail to respond to the comments that are given back? Fail to follow through? If you read the order from the evidentiary hearing and the way that it is written in a specific way to make sure that someone doesn't just simply apply for a permit and then come into compliance, because anybody can apply for a permit and then be deemed in compliance, and then all of a sudden nothing happens. It's written this way so that you apply and complete and final out to make sure that it's actually taken care of. So I can tell you it's not, I know it hasn't been staff's intent, and certainly isn't my intent. I can't speak for the board, but I'm sure it wouldn't be their intent to move forward with something if people are working on moving forward and have submitted something and it's in our office for review. I can tell you that, because that's not a practice that we do, that's not a practice that we have.
I would concur with that and reiterate that if it is something that is our responsibility to provide for you to seek compliance, then that is something that we're not going to force the foreclosure on. However, like the injunction, this is a tool that's there if the continued work towards compliance is not happening.
That's really all we're asking.
So
honestly, as I say, it stands there, and
our goal is for you to come into compliance. Our goal is always for a property to come into compliance.
Right.
For the property owner's sake, for the neighbor's sake, for the taxpayer's sake, for everybody's sake. Our goal is not to take people's property. However, when we don't have any other recourse to force compliance, that's where we are. So I think that this is in line with that, and I would just concur with what Attorney Prado said. So
as long as that's the plan, we're perfectly happy with that.
Susan, do we know what the fines are up to at this point?
I am not sure, but I am not a math person, but at $250 a day from March 25th.
151 days, $37,750 as of today.
Thank you.
This started back in August 2023. And Madam Chairman, I know you live in Fellsmere. I live in South Vero Beach, and I heard about this case too. And if those numbers of the money didn't bring into violation, bring it into compliance, the numbers of the violation didn't bring it into compliance, I guess I'll agree with what Commissioner Lohr said. This finally may have gotten their attention to get it done. We can't condone this. We can't continue to let this happen. Code enforcement is the big deal in the county, and we have an oath to carry out our code enforcement laws and ordinances. And this clearly violated code enforcement laws and ordinances. The fines have been complied. I wish they would have taken care of it immediately when the fines were presented. That's what the fines are for. They're there to do that and give folks a chance. I have to agree with everything my colleagues have said up here and move forward with staff recommendations.
Can I correct something really quick? And I understand your point of view, but as I mentioned before, and I'm not sure I was very clear because we were already talking about the injunction, a lot of what happened, they thought they were trying to comply. Some of these things were presented to them and they say, well, look, if there's stuff in the berm, we will start processing it. We'll get a permit and we'll do that, and they did it wrong. But their intent was to keep going and to fix this. They don't want to pay extra. They don't want to pay the fines. It did get their attention. They just thought they could handle it because they understood what the code people were saying. So again, it wasn't intentional that they were ignoring this at all. I know it sounds difficult to understand, but it really is true. I've read through this. I've read through the exchanges with staff especially, and I see only, please tell us what to do. We're trying to do this now. This is what's happening now. This will do it, right? And that went through the entire system. So they weren't ignoring the county. I hope the county will at least understand that much. This is not something, again, they didn't even know foreclosure, sadly enough, was, an issue on the 22nd, which it was obviously on the agenda. So, as I say,
I don't want to prolong this. If the county government starts fining me, that would get my attention.
It did. That's when they got permits. That's when they started doing chipping. I can go through it all.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, Ms. Larkin, and I think the commission's been pretty clear, and I would just suggest that you keep moving forward to get it done.
We can expedite their type 2 permit. That would help.
Yes, we'll work with
That'd be great.
staff to get that addressed sooner rather than later for you, so we can all move forward.
Super.
All right. Anybody else from the public on this particular issue? Seeing none, there is a motion by Commissioner Lohr with a second by Commissioner Flesher for staff's recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Susan, which one do you want to go with next? Lund?
Can just go right back in order if you don't mind,
Okay,
Commissioner.
so the first
Thank you.
one,
Yes, Areola. So this particular case number 2023-070014, the Areola case for code enforcement action. This started back in July 2023 with a complaint regarding weeds in excess of 12 inches, property maintenance violation due to a dilapidated structure, health and safety hazard due to a dilapidated structure, and unsecured vacant structure. Once again, these are all related to the dilapidated structure on the property. This property happens to be located, I believe, in Vero Lake Estates. There was an evidentiary hearing on October 23rd, 2023, at which time this respondent was found to be in violation of the code. They were given time to come into compliance, no continuances. And on November 27th, there was an order issued in the amount of $100 per day fine to be imposed, and that is recorded in the public records of the county. To this day, they have not come into compliance, and the fine continues to run. I believe they had mowed the grass like once, but they have not addressed the dilapidated structure. And we haven't heard anything further from the property owners.
when's the last time you heard from the property owner?
They didn't even show up at the hearing, so we haven't heard anything from them. We just saw the grass be mowed once, and the structure seems to just stay there in the same stance.
So it seems pretty cut and dry.
Yes.
All right. I have a motion by Commissioner Lohr. I will be happy to second it. Commissioners, any comments, questions, or the concerns? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next one, Lund.
Thank you. This case for the 2021 1000064 Lund case. This case started in October 2021 regarding building an expired building permit. There was an evidentiary hearing held on February 20th, 2022. The respondent was found in violation. The respondent was given a time frame to correct and 2 extensions in this particular case. Then there was a hearing held on July 25th, 2022 for compliance, at which point in time they were deemed to be non-compliant. There was a $100 per day fine imposed, and this is recorded in the official records book, page 3564, page 1097. This was leading from a shed, that there was not a building permit, and there was also some electrical work done on this particular shed. There seemed to be an issue, a landlord-tenant kind of issue going on, and they never seemed to just get it together to be able to get the item fixed. And to this point in time, the fine is still running, nor is it been complied with.
How, all right. All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Lohr with a second by Commissioner Ehrman. Any further discussion? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Last one is Lund as well.
Yes, this is a second case on the same property, 2020-009-0001. This one started back in 2020. It was the initial complaint regarding trailer storage violation of junk, trash, and debris violation, as well as building permit violations and an unpermitted shed and partial wood fence. This evidentiary hearing came in April 26, 2021. The respondent was found in violation. They were given a time frame to correct, as well as 2 extensions, and they were determined to not bring the property into compliance and was issued a $100 per day fine, which is recorded in the public records at OR Book 3485, page 1711. This property was never brought into compliance. I can tell you the last time I looked at the aerials on this particular property, the junk, trash, and debris have seemed to have multiplied since this time frame. So it looks to just be progressively getting worse. So staff at this point in time is seeking to move forward with foreclosure on this property.
Okay, Commissioners, all right. We have a motion by Commissioner Lohr with a second by Commissioner Ehrman. Any discussion? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, the next item is the county attorney agreement for Ms. Schuler. So I think it is attached. John, is Suzanne here? Is she gonna handle it, or?
I would say motion to approve.
Okay, there we go. We have a motion by Commissioner
Second.
Flesher with a second by Commissioner Lohr. Sorry. Any further discussion? I'm so sorry. Any further discussion? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Excited to have that finalized, and Ms. Schuler will be starting September 16th. All right, with that, we'll move on to Solid Waste Disposal District. First item is approval of the SWID meeting minutes of June 18th. Anybody have any additions or deletions to the minutes?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Flesher with a second by myself. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We will move on to the Florida Specialty License Plate on Recycling, which I believe we have some
Good morning.
exciting news about.
Good morning, Commissioners. Himan Shemeta, Managing Director of Solid Waste Disposal District. I'm here with Sue Flack and Jill Brown, and we're excited to share with you this Florida Recycle specialty plate that's going to be available. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Sue to tell you a little bit more about it. This was designed locally here in Indian River County.
I was going to say, are you going to tell the good news about the design? But you just did. That's fabulous.
Yeah, there's a quick PowerPoint. Jill, you want to flip? Okay. Great. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us today. We'll be brief, but we bring you good news, so this is a good thing. We're very happy to present today on the statewide Florida recycling license plate, specialty plate that we're introducing here statewide in the state of Florida. And I'm here joined by Eder, who has been a great help, and Jennifer, she's sitting over there, and of course, our wonderful Carol Jean Jordan, our tax collector, has also been a great support. So just to give you a little bit of history real quick, in 1988, the Florida legislature introduced or enacted the Solid Waste Management Act, or SWMA. And what that did is that mandated the oversee of landfill conservation, because we were getting a little bit out of hand, but also introduced recycling. So that was the start of recycling here in the state of Florida. The SWMA also created a trust fund, the Solid Waste Management Trust Fund, which provided funding, very necessary, crucial, and needed funding for recycling grants, recycling education programs, and other such areas of importance here in the state of Florida. But unfortunately, several years ago, this grant money was diverted to other agencies within the state, which left these areas in a sore state of affairs, needing some money, some extra funding. And so subsequently, the Recycle Florida Today Foundation and Company was established, and this is a professional development in which educational grants and funding is going to be made available to support these areas. So in looking for ways to raise more money for these grants, in 2022, the Recycle Florida Today Outreach Committee, which is Jill and I, and a few others, started the legislative process to market a state specialty license plate in which the portions of the sales will go to this foundation. And luckily enough, in 2024, our wonderful Governor DeSantis did sign the bill, so our license plate has been moving forward. So as the chair of the Outreach Committee, the plate was then presented to Carol Jean Jordan and our friend Eder, who's been a great help, who agreed to sponsor the 3,000 pre-sale vouchers that are needed for us to move on to the production phase of the license plate. I think it's important to note the amount of money that will be raised just by selling the 3,000 plates. Of the $32.50, which is the cost of the plate, $25 of each of those sales will go to the foundation. What's really crucial here is the monies that is raised from these foundations will go to programs like food insecurity, food waste reduction, composting, and economic impact studies that are very important to our industry. Currently, as a foundation, we are working to market this. We have come up with some toolkits to be used throughout all the counties within the state of Florida, which is really important. And we have this wonderful QR code, which lets people get on right now and register and commit to purchasing one of these license plates. And Eder could explain further, but the plates will be available October 1st. But you can commit, and we will get all of your information to the Department of Motor Vehicles. So although there is no funding being requested at this time, staff is recommending that we are allowed to display this banner for the public to see this opportunity, for all of our residents to be aware of what's going on in Indian River County, and this will also coincide with the current marketing and advertising that's being done in the other building, the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Fantastic.
So yes, and this is a vanity plate if anybody wants to put one on the front of their car.
Well, congratulations, and exciting that you guys were involved in the design and it was chosen. That's quite an honor, and hopefully it raises a lot of money for you guys. That'll be fantastic.
Thank you.
Commissioners?
Need a motion to approve.
Oh, yeah. I guess we need a motion to approve the putting out of the banner. I don't even think you should have to
And
ask
Carter
us. I mean,
too.
it
Carter
should-
will be there.
Version of Carter that's.
Okay, and Carter, the new Carter. Fantastic. Fantastic. A motion by Commissioner Flesher, a second by Commissioner Moss. Any further discussion?
Great job.
Yes, good job
Thank
to
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you guys so much. Very proud of y'all. All right, the last item on our agenda for today is approval of amendment number 2 to work order number 1 to Geosyntec for Phase 2, Segment 3, Cell 3 Engineering Services.
Madam Chair, move approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Ehrman with a second by Commissioner Flesher. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And with that, commissioners, we stand adjourned.